This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Welcome to the Rated R Safety Show, where the truth burns louder than the noise. Fire in the static, breaking through the haze. Dr. J. Allen's voice cuts like
program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you so know it, and so do I. It does not matter who the host is. What has always mattered is who the listeners are. Anyways, today is Tuesday, July the 14th of 2026, and we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And then I am hanging out with my friends and colleagues over there.
We are radio. We are sarcasm. We are both combined. Radio Big.
Okay, so we're hanging out here on Radio Big doing all the fun stuff, on Safety FM doing all the fun stuff, and I'm hoping that you are ready for the transition of transitions today as we are talking. So let's get into a lot of information because I got lots of info, but unfortunately I'm a little bit short on time today, so let's kind of talk about how we're going to do some of this stuff. We will be giving you today an abbreviated version of the Rated R Safety Show, but we'll try to get to some of the primary stuff. So we'll look at it this way: limited ad interaction, just to kind of wet the throat there in regards of a drink in between, but don't worry about any of that. We'll get you through it. So let's start talking right away about some of the stuff that's going on. Numero uno, if you want to interact with the show, simple to do so. All you have to do is to go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. Once you get there, audio, video, and text messaging will be the way that we end up having the discussion, so not an issue whatsoever, and then we'll kind of move from there. That's the kind of the simplistic portion of doing some of the stuff, and then we'll kind of go from there. So let me just make some references yesterday. Number one, thanks for all the people who reached out to wish me a happy birthday yesterday, because that was kind of one of the things that I was not talking about. But yeah, a lot of people kind of were able to discover that, and thanks for reaching out and letting me know, the birthday wishes. It was much appreciated. Additionally, a lot of people showing up yesterday to the event that we had here in Orlando that we were calling Reality Shifts. Appreciate the ones that came out, took a listen to all of the stuff that was going on. Yes, it was one of those things that I always look at it, that it's interesting to see the interactions when you have different methodologies inside of a room, just to see how people are going to take a listen to what is going on. Definitely for me, I had a good time with the people and the interactions that were going on there. And yes, we were finally able to do some stuff and talk about some different aspects of things that were happening. So good times, and thanks for everyone who came out and was doing their thing. That is for sure. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and do this? I do have my friends from Feature Story News waiting in the wings, wanting to talk about what exactly is going on inside of the multiverse. So I'm going to tell you this. We normally do a 5-minute version with them, but today we're going to do it slightly different. Today we will go 3-minute versionality of what exactly is going on. So if you're good with that, I'm good with it, and we will get you into the news cycles, because that's just what we do around here. So let's go ahead and do that right now on the Rated R Safety Show. Or maybe not right now on the Rated R Safety Show.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in the UK, I'm John Beaver. The situation in the Middle East continues to deteriorate after a third night of US strikes on Iran. Bahrain says it intercepted a number of missiles fired by Iran towards its territory on Tuesday morning. It comes as US President Donald Trump announced a 20% toll on all cargo passing through the Strait of Hormuz and ordered the reimposition of a naval blockade of Iranian ports. The International Maritime Organization has rejected the move, saying there is no legal basis for mandatory transit tolls, while Iran's armed forces have warned they will respond forcefully to any disruption to commercial shipping. Brent crude surged nearly 10% on Monday in its biggest single-day jump since 2020 and continued to rise on Tuesday morning. Kate Fisher has more from Washington.
This is really controversial, saying that it's now the US that will charge a toll, having had senior members of his cabinet saying that when the Iranians suggested that, it was simply not acceptable in terms of, international norms. So that's a complete switch over. And I think it shows that the president is trying to essentially take control of a situation that is really very difficult to control.
Meanwhile, New Delhi has condemned the killing of an Indian seafarer aboard a UAE tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. UAE's defence ministry says 2 Emirati oil tankers were struck by Iranian cruise missiles. Tehran says the 2 supertankers had been disabled after ignoring repeated warnings. Nehar Punia has more.
In its statement, New Delhi says it's deeply concerned by the attacks on 2 vessels. India has confirmed that 1 Indian seafarer has lost his life while several others have sustained injuries. India says it's closely monitoring the situation and is in touch with authorities in the UAE to ensure that all possible assistance is given to the affected Indian seafarers. It's also confirmed that the Deputy Chief of Mission of the Embassy of Iran in New Delhi was summoned this morning, and a strong protest against these attacks was lodged.
UK counter-terror police are continuing to question a man arrested on suspicion of murdering former MP Anne Widdecombe. The former Reform UK spokeswoman was found dead in her home in Devon on Thursday. The Home Secretary says she'll look at what extra security guidance can be given to former MPs following Miss Widdecombe's death. Former Security Minister and Tory MP Tom Tugendhat says a delicate balance has to be found.
I used to go to work on the bus. I had absolutely no security at all. And I read the intelligence, and actually the risk to most MPs is actually relatively low. The tragedy around Anne, it's utterly awful. I mean, it's utterly awful. But do we protect every former MP if they've still got a political voice?
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, here we are. We're back doing all the stuff that we get to do. Like I said earlier, abbreviated version of this thing today, so I apologize about that. So let's get into some of the news cycle stories as we are hanging out and doing our thing. So let's get into some of the main stories, because I think that that's going to be kind of the crucial portion of what we should talk about real quick. Because there you go. So as I was looking around this morning and hanging out and looking at some of the info to share with you, President Trump says that he is recommended Lindsey Graham's younger sister, Darlene, to serve as South Carolina's interim U.S. Senator following Graham's death. Trump called the appointment a fitting tribute, saying that Graham loved his sister dearly. Darlene has never held elected office, but Graham had previously praised her character, saying that she would represent the country well. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott also voiced the support, saying that no one better understands Graham's dedication to his family and state and country. Senate Republican leader John Thune said that the idea makes a lot of sense. The final decision rests on South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster, who has the authority to appoint someone to serve until the remainder of Graham's term expires in early 2027. State law also calls for rapid special election process candidate registration beginning on July the 21st. Special primary scheduled for August the 11th. So there you go. Definitely some interesting things as we are talking. Let's talk about this one as well. Authorities are investigating a fatal shooting in Maine that reportedly involved U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. Details remain limited, but Maine House Speaker Ryan Faktichu said that one person was killed and that the state police, the Department of Public Safety, and the FBI are expected to investigate the incident. Neighbors reported hearing gunfire early yesterday morning before the large law enforcement presence arrived at the scene. Officials have not yet released the identity of the person who died or explained the circumstances surrounding the shooting. The incident comes just days after another fatal ICE involvement shooting in Houston and follows the increased ICE activity in Maine earlier this year. As part of federal immigration enforcement, federal authorities have not yet released additional information about what happened in that area. So there you go. Definitely some things to think about. Take a listen to this one, and this is not a joke. You would think that this would be a comedy act as we are talking about it, but health officials are investigating a major outbreak that has sickened more than 2,800 people. With the vast majority of cases reported in Michigan, the parasite can cause severe watery diarrhea, stomach cramps, and loss of appetite and weight loss. According to the CDC, there has been at least 843 confirmed cases, about 1,500 suspected cases, and 86 hospitalizations across 31 states. No deaths have been reported. Michigan has recorded roughly 2,640 suspected cases, while neighboring Ohio has reported 177. Investigators have not yet identified that exact source, but Michigan health officials believe that the containment of fresh produce is the most likely the cause. The outbreak has spread to more than half of Michigan counties as authorities continue to search for source. Listen, I'm not picking on Michigan right now, but it might not be the greatest time to visit if that was part of your plan in regards of doing so. So what do you think there? Just something to talk about, that is for sure. Okay. So should we do this? I think we should do this one. So let's talk about it. A man was seriously injured after a bison charged him during an evening walk with his grandson at Yellowstone National Park, the Bridge Bay compound. The agitated bull bison charged through the trees, hooked the man with one of his horns, and flipped him at an estimated 8 feet into the air as he landed hard on the ground. Campers rushed to help, and while others called 911 and kept a watch to make sure that the animal didn't return. A photographer who witnessed and recorded the attack said that the grandfather and his grandson had been keeping what appeared to be a safe distance from the animal that were leaving the area when the bison suddenly became aggressive. The witness believes that the attack was unprovoked and noted that the bison had already chased other visitors earlier in the evening. The incident occurred during Yellowstone's annual bison mating season. Hey now. And when the bulls are known to become a little bit more territorial and unpredicted, it definitely sounds that way. That is for sure. So let's see. It was unpredictable overall. The injured man was treated in emergency responders, and his grandson said his grandfather suffered significant injuries. Take a listen to this.
It was like watching a bulldozer move out at 45 miles an hour.
And when you approach this man, how is he?
He was in a lot of pain. He was conscious, I think, the entire time. It sounds like he has a broken leg in several places. The doctor said that he probably would recover, but it's going to be a long recovery.
Hold on. Broken leg could recover, would recover? Well, I would hope so. I know it's an older gentleman, but man, what an interesting time. That is for sure as we are speaking. So what do you think about the whole thing? I don't know. I mean, I look at it and I go, at what point do you start saying this is a good idea, this is a bad idea in regards of having some interactions of what the hell's going on inside of there? That is for sure. I mean, it's a weird time. Let's just not lie about it. Like, if you're going to be out inside of the wild and it's mating season, I would be kind of freaked out. I mean, do they still call it the Pope Mobile? I mean, maybe you're better off in something like that. I'm not picking here. I mean, I'm just saying just some other things to think about. That is exactly what comes to mind as I'm looking over this information.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, entertaining. I don't know if that's true. We're trying to do something. That is how we do it. That is for sure. So with it being into this time zone, and like I already stated, it is an abbreviated version of this today. Why don't we go ahead and do that thing that we call our main story right now, because that is what we should do.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So let's start talking right away about some of the things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse, because it's always a good time as you and I got to hang out and start talking about some things. Now, I will tell you, I am a firm believer. Yes, I am a firm believer that when it comes to the stuff that we get to do, we need to have conversations. We need to have discussions about things that make people feel comfortable and uncomfortable. You cannot start off with things immediately and just kind of take people by surprise with what's going on. And then depending within the organization that you're at, that's how you take the approach. The organization, the people inside of the organization, sometimes when you're going to do stuff, you have to ease them into this information that you might want to share. You might have to ease them. And there will be probably some uncomfortable moments when newer information gets to you. And that's the funny part. Because if I go out there and I start talking to you about stuff that you have never heard of before, without giving you some level of context prior, it becomes extremely interesting to me on how you're going to react. It's going to be extremely interesting to me on how these things are going to occur. So you cannot go full bore before anything is shared with you. It is kind of the way that it goes. And here's the thing. It is very difficult for someone to have information about something and you hear maybe 25% of what the information consists of, and you've already made a decision that nothing is going to work. Nothing is going to tie in. So it's amazing to me on how people react sometimes in regards of receiving new information. And listen, sometimes new information is very difficult. I can tell you, I remember many, many, many moons ago, really, truly going behind the behavior-based safety stuff or behavior-based science, depending on how you want to look at it, and having a difficult moment understanding, could you leave this to go into another thing that maybe is more philosophical, even though you might agree with some of the information, but how would it be going forward? And I want to say that I have learned over the last little bit, I shouldn't really say a little bit because it's been years, on how people like to hear information, just a tidbit, and then run. And I have such a struggle at times with what I call microwave information. Microwave this. Give it to me now or don't give it to me at all in regards to what's going on. If there has to be time constraint or time consumed inside of something on how difficult it is for people to be able to absorb. And here's the thing. Not all information is for everyone. I always say that. It throws people off, but not everything is for everyone. And that is perfectly okay. But I also get weirded out when it comes to the whole thing where something is changing within the organization, where all of a sudden it becomes the army of one, where it becomes that I am the only audience listener of you must change my mind before I will move forward. And the thing that interests me the most about this is the following. Where leaders will be within an organization, say that they agree to the change, but then inside of the general public, they say, oh no, I even never knew that this was supposed to be happening. I never knew, because they're afraid or have a level of fear of what is exactly going on how will it be accepted. So I sit back sometimes and chuckle about that. So here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're inside of an organization today and there's change implementation taking place, do research. Do a look about what is going on. You cannot read 25% of a book and say this book is terrible. I remember a Guns N' Roses song many years ago where it said people judge a book by its cover and read what they want between selected lines. And sometimes I just look at things and go, how often do we do that? It's kind of a hard thing, but we tend to do that from time to time, where we'll look at something and go, this does not work because I only read this, and this out of the whole thing. But guess what? That's kind of a normal side of life when it comes to things. We filter all of this information that can be given through essentially a processor in our head, is the way that I look at it, and go, oh, good, bad, or indifferent. And that's just kind of normal. But when you say one thing behind closed doors and another in front of the public, it kind of gets a little bit weird as we are talking. I always recommend strongly that if you're going through a level of change, obtain as much information as you can. Because at the end of the day, having knowledge, some people say that it is power, but knowing stuff and how your paradigm will shift, potentially, to get that paradigm to shift, you must have a better paradigm. Because without any of that, nothing really will occur. It's kind of a weird time if you really give it some consideration. And that's what I would really like for you to think about today. What information have you heard that has made you feel uncomfortable inside of a room? What information have you heard that made you feel uncomfortable inside of the field? And did you obtain as much information possible? Or did you say, nope, can't listen to it because it's not for me, but you really never listened to the whole thing in the first place? It becomes extremely strange when you really start thinking about it, because at the end of the day, what are you going to do? If you don't change with the times, guess what happens? Most of the times will leave you behind.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You're listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly. Less than $2 a month and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all three books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Some of the best things in life come to those who wait, but we ain't waiting for shit. Radio Big.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get back into it. Currently 26 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday. It's kind of what we're going to do. So anyways, let's talk about the most important thing that I will ever tell you in my lifetime. And let me tell you about my friends to write love on her arms, because I always think that this is kind of one of these important things to talk about, because this is information that's normally not discussed. And I always think that it's important to have this discussion because for some reason, there's a weird stigma with this. I mean, I will tell you it's gotten better, but there is still a weird stigma when it comes to this. But no matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. And we want you to know that people have been where you are now and things can get better. Healing is possible. To find out more information, go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com. Once you get there, you'll notice there's all kind of information related to addiction, depression, and anxiety, eating disorders, self-injury, suicide, trauma, and grief support. That's TWLOHA.com to write love on her arms. I'm going to tell you, you go there, it can change everything for you. It is one of those things that you take a look at that website and you go, I am amazed on the amount of information that is taking place there. It just is. The way that this organization is putting stuff together and trying to help issues related to mental health, because that is how it's framed, is amazing. And the amount of time that they have spent doing this is mind-boggling to me. TWLOHA.com to write love on her arms. Now, I'm going to flash this on the screen real quick, but I really want to say a thank you for all the people that showed up to a reality shift symposium that took place over yesterday here in Orlando. It was an interesting time, that's for sure. I'm not going to lie here. It was interesting just to be able to hear the different perspectives that people have, and when it comes to the world of safety, specifically when it comes to looking at behavior-based science, when it comes to looking at human and organizational performance, and then, of course, the stuff that I like to talk about that we call signal. Now, at the end of the day, it's interesting listening to different perspectives and how the people that are even there taking a listen to what's going on how they perceive the information. So if you're out here in Orlando yesterday, regardless on how long you were in the room or how much or how little you were in the room, we really appreciate you coming out there to take a listen to new ideas, good, bad, or indifferent ideas that you might have heard, ideas that you haven't heard, or maybe even stuff that you might have not agreed with, but things that you were willing to take a shift in reality of what is going on. So I will tell you this. after yesterday's event, don't believe that this will be the last time that we will be doing this one. And the way that I look at it is there will be different components, different pieces on how it ties in together. But we'll talk about all that here in a future date in regards to what needs to take place there. That is for sure. Okay, so with that being said, why don't we go ahead and do this right now? Why don't we go ahead and bring in our friend John Small and let him tell us about what the hell is going on with the Motivation Minute.
Courtesy of Jay'sCaseMedical.com. Today's quote was submitted by Francis. The 14th Dalai Lama said, "Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions." I love that. I can also say the opposite can be true. Anger often comes from within. I've met people who are just angry people. The internet is full of these people. They'll click away on a keyboard to say some of the most vile and horrible things ever said, many times to a stranger who they've never even met. I do my best to avoid these people because if they happen to catch a look at you, then you become their next target. They wake up angry and they don't know why, but if you cross their path, somehow it becomes your fault. They'll unload their angry insults towards you. You can choose to toss some back. That's what they're hoping for, actually. They want to fight. Don't give it to them. Instead, thank them for their insight and move on. This has been the Motivation Minute. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
A young Colombian man was shot and killed by federal immigration agents Monday morning in Biddeford, Maine, sparking outrage and emergency protests across the state.
Local advocates say the 26-year-old was authorized to work legally in the United States. Maine's governor called the shooting deeply alarming as state police and the FBI opened an investigation into what happened. Jessica Oakley reporting.
A massive fire tore through a crowded Bangkok beer hall early Monday, killing at least 27 people and leaving dozens more injured or hospitalized in critical condition.
Investigators are examining whether blocked emergency exits worsened the tragedy at the packed Nalad Prao venue, which could hold hundreds of guests. Officials called it Thailand's deadliest blaze in 17 years. Benjamin Wright reporting.
Medical examiners revealed Sunday that Senator Lindsey Graham died from a torn aorta linked to underlying heart disease hours after he returned from a trip to Ukraine.
The 71-year-old South Carolina Republican passed suddenly Saturday night, prompting tributes from leaders on both sides of the political aisle. His official death certificate remains pending further toxicology testing results. Kyle Norris reporting.
Dangerous heat is gripping more than 100 million Americans this week after several western cities shattered all-time temperature records over the weekend.
Salt Lake City and Billings, Montana, each posted their hottest days ever recorded on Sunday afternoon. Forecasters warn the punishing heat will spread into the Northeast by midweek, with highs nearing triple digits. Kevin Sanders reporting.
Soccer fever is building as the World Cup's final four teams prepare for Wednesday's semifinals, with Argentina, England, France, and Spain all still chasing the championship trophy.
Lionel Messi is chasing one final title in what could be his last World Cup, while England hopes to reach its first final in 60 years. Fans nationwide are gearing up for a thrilling week. Liam White reporting.
The United States launched fresh strikes on Iran Monday after President Trump vowed to reinstate an American blockade of the vital Strait of Hormuz.
Trump said the U.S. would act as the Strait's protector and charge foreign ships for safe passage through the waterway. Iranian officials accused Washington of deliberately sabotaging talks meant to reopen the Strait to shipping. Chris Anderson reporting.
Ukraine's prime minister resigned Sunday as President Zelensky reshuffled his wartime government amid mounting battlefield pressure from Russia's ongoing invasion of the country.
Yulia Sviridenko said she was proud to have led the government through one of Ukraine's hardest chapters and remains ready to keep serving. Zelensky has reportedly offered her another senior government post. Gary Beck reporting.
Qatar's influential former ruler, Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, has died at the age of 74, the nation's royal court announced Sunday morning.
Sheikh Hamad ruled Qatar from 1995 until 2013 and was widely credited with transforming the small Gulf nation into an energy and diplomatic powerhouse. Tributes poured in from leaders across the Middle East. Lawrence Keller reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
Prepare yourself.
We are now being distributed on iHeartRadio. Listen on iHeartRadio app. Radio Big.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, let's go. That is for sure. Currently 34 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Tuesday. Let's continue talking real quick. Let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. As I take a look around, back in 1976, Jimmy Carter wins the Democratic press nomination in New York. In 1987, Greyhound buys Trailway Bus for $80 million. Also in 1987, Steve Miller stars is unveiled in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And in 1989, the 16th James Bond movie, License to Kill, premieres. So there you go. Let's talk about some celebrity birthdays that are going on today. Jane Lynch turns 66. Matthew Fox, 60. Missy Gold turns 56. Taboo, the hip-hop musician, turns 51 today. And Scott Porter turns 47. So there you go. That's some birthdays that are happening today, if you do not mind talking about that. And let's talk real quick about some things that you ought to know, because this is always important. Tonight's Mega Million jackpot is for $637 million. Here's last night's winning Powerball numbers. They went like this. It was for $478 million, just in case. It was 5, 25, 36, 40, 48. Powerball was 3. Power Play was 2. So there you go. Also, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says that the Pentagon is launching a tougher effort to track down and prosecute people accused of leaking information to the news media. In a video posted on social media, Hegseth announced the Defense Department will work with the Justice Department on leak investigations. He also said that he explains that he expanded the authority of the Pentagon's Office General Counsel to collect records and information from across the department to help identify sources of unauthorized disclosure. So there you go. So anyways, that's going to sum up our time together at the top of the hour, meaning at the 8 o'clock hour. I will be on radiobig.fm if you want to come and hang out with me over there. If not, you can hang out right here with the likes of Sheldon Primus as he talks about the world of safety consulting. So there you go. If I can leave you some words of wisdom for today, there are no gains without pains. Keep that in mind. And if you need some words of advice for today, take pictures of ordinary days. Years from now, those will become your favorite memories. Think about it that way. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Safety FM and or Radio Big. The content discussed, including examples of analysis, is provided for illustrative purposes only. It should not be applied as the sole solution in real-world scenarios, as it is based on limited and dated open source information. Any assumptions made during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are not reflective of Safety FM and or Radio Big. No portion of this broadcast, podcast, or radio show may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of Safety FM and or Radio Big. For permission requests, please contact Safety FM or Radio Big directly.
Just raw and brave. The truth's got teeth and it won't behave. This ain't cloud and safety lost. The grind don't stop. The grind don't stop.